Whole child development is vital to our educational system. Supports and conditions exist whereby all students have opportunities to grow and excel in the areas of academic, technical and career, and social emotional learning. Our decision-making process is student-centered and student voice is valued.
Our 2020 to 2025 district goals are social emotional wellness, produce a community of empathetic and resilient learners with skills to socially and emotionally flourish, prepare contemporary citizens, modernize and expand learning experiences to prepare students as critical thinkers, problem solvers, innovators, and designers within a complex global society. Diversity and inclusion. Establish a culturally diverse and inclusive and educational experience that develops socio-cultural proficiency.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is the roll call. Ms. Marcia Pugh, our board secretary, will please call the roll.
Dr. Crispin.
Here.
Mr. Feinberg.
Here.
Dr. King.
Here.
Dr. Larson.
Here.
Dr. McKay.
Here.
Mr. Schwartz.
Here.
Ms. Vitale.
Here.
Ms. Snodgrass.
Here.
Ms. Wiedemann.
Here. All in attendance. The official minutes is next. I will accept a motion to approve the official minutes from the March 2nd, 2023 regular public board meeting.
Larson moved. Crispin second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are approved. And now we have our student reports. We'll begin with Zora Alvarado from the Haverford Middle School.
Good evening. My name is Zora Alvarado. I am happy to be here this evening to update you on what is happening at the middle school. A lot is happening at the middle school. This week, we are participating in student-led conferences. I think the conferences are good for showing your parents how you feel and the progress you are making in school instead of your teachers having to explain it for you. The PIAA sports spring season has begun. The teams have now completed the tryout process and are preparing to begin their first sessions. Our student athletes are excited about the warmer weather, challenging competition, and the opportunity to continue developing as student athletes. The H Pride Spirit Day for tomorrow is green for the 7th and 8th graders, and for the 6th graders, we have to wear different colors for the Bringing Hope Home Olympics. There are many students that are very excited about participating in our Spirit Days, and I have no doubt that the school will be filled with lots of color tomorrow. The following week, we will examine our plan for safe schools. We are going to go over the general school safety plan, practice a drill, go over how to utilize the Safe to Say Something program, and talk about bullying and harassment in our school. The third marking period concludes on March 31st. We have a few weeks to complete our fourth quarter studies, and the school year will end, and I will be going on to 7th grade. Thank you for allowing me to present this evening, and have a wonderful rest of your week.
Thank you. And from Haverford High School, we have Erin Coyle.
Good evening and happy almost spring. I would like to thank you for allowing me to present. Today and tomorrow's weather is really making me excited for spring break. Throughout the month of March, my science classes are doing something really creative called March Mammal Madness. This is a funny take on March Madness, except it's with animals. So I know that this year the brackets are expanded out to many more classes compared to previous years. I have the Wolverine winning, not Hugh Jackman. It's like a cute little bear, but I know a lot of people have differing opinions. Winter sports are now almost done and in their off season. Girls basketball had their first round of state championships at Haverford last week. They pushed hard and kept it a competitive game. Their season is over, but they've come out of this season with a 29-2 record and the title of Central League champions. Winter track had their national New Balance championship over the past weekend. We had 10 athletes attend this event. The girls placed 4th in their distance medley relay and broke the school record, and the girls' 1,600 meter record was broken by sophomore Olivia Cieslak. Now they prepare to head back outside on the track for spring. Haverford swimming teams are heading to states today at Bucknell University. They have 12 athletes competing at this event. They represented strong at districts and are now ready to dominate at states. Spring athletes are now starting their season. Scrimmages and practices are beginning, and the winter athletes are now transitioning into the weight room for their off season. The SAT took place at Haverford on Saturday, March 11th. 226 students attended this test. I know many of my fellow juniors took this test for their first SAT. They are now beginning to take college even more seriously and doing what it takes to prepare themselves for their future. The high school play Into the Woods is set to take place next weekend. I'm super excited for this to see the amazing production all put together thanks to the help of the cast members, stage crew, and staff. So much work has been put into this play, so I can't wait to see everyone shine on stage. As many of you know, St. Patrick's Day is tomorrow, which happens to be my favorite holiday. As an Irish dancer, this time of year is a bit hectic, but it's so much fun to dance around nursing homes, schools, and hospitals. My day tomorrow starts at 7 a.m. and it won't end until 10 p.m., but this time is full of laughs and so many great memories with my friends. I hope you all have a really great weekend and celebrate St. Patrick's Day with a lot of fun memories and green outfits. Thank you all for allowing me to speak, and go Forts.
Next portion of our agenda is for the superintendent's report. Dr. Rushi.
Thank you, Ms. Wiedemann. And Erin is dancing this evening as well, so at whatever point in time in the meeting you need to leave, Erin, please just, you can make your exit and not worry.
I want to see this little presentation.
Yeah.
So.
Great. No pressure. And tonight's a great evening for us because we have a lot of students here with us this evening, and we're recognizing some of our teachers this evening. And to get us started, our students from Coopertown Elementary, their student council who are here. And they're going to share with us some ways that they have worked on their leadership skills and how they are creating opportunities, service opportunities and engagement opportunities for all other students in the building. So we're excited to hear what you're going to share with us tonight.
Well, hello, Dr. Rushi, members of the board and of the community. My name is Beth Master-Coyle, and I'm the proud principal of Coopertown Elementary School. I'm here today with some very special members of the Coopertown community, the 2022-2023 Coopertown Student Council. Also with me is a very familiar face, Mrs. Heather Marklin, a fourth grade teacher, but also a volunteer co-sponsor of the Student Council. We couldn't do it without her. Our student council will introduce themselves soon, but I wanted to share that in order to become a student council member, all fifth graders are invited to make a video that shares what position they want to run for and explaining why they would be a good candidate. They also need to have a fifth grade teacher sign off that they are responsible and respectful members of their class. The video that they create is shared with the entire school, and every student and every staff member votes. This year's elections took place in October, and the students to my left have been very busy every day since. We meet once a month to collaborate on ideas and events for the school, but some of these students have jobs that keep them busy much more. Mrs. Marklin will share our goal, and then the students will take over.
Good evening. The goal of the Student Council is to give students an opportunity to develop leadership skills by organizing and carrying out school activities and service projects.
Hello, my name is Sydney Katz. I am the 2023 Student Council President. My main responsibility is to oversee the other positions and generate ideas. The first thing I accomplished as president was creating a Google Form survey. This form had 5 questions on it for all of the Coopertown students to answer. I asked them about ideas for spirit days, fun activities and clubs, and charities they wish to help. The reason for this form was to ensure that every idea was not just from Student Council, but also our whole school. One more thing I accomplished as president was bringing back Reading Buddies. Reading Buddies is a program that was established so that younger grades could meet and work with the older kids. This program is important because it helps encourage a lot of kids to read.
Hi, I'm Charlie McCauley, and I'm the Vice President of Coopertown Elementary School. I attend all the meetings and help all the student council with their ideas. The biggest part of my job is working with the student ambassadors. Sydney and I meet with them every month and tell them what's going on so they can go back and tell their class. We make sure that everybody knows what's going on.
Hello, my name is Annabelle Hartman. I am the Coopertown Safety Director. I've recruited a team of people to be hall monitors in different parts of the school. Our goal is to remind students to walk in the hallways and stay safe. Right now, the safety team has 11 members.
Hello, my name is Avery McMullen, and I am Coopertown's Inclusion Coordinator this year. As the Inclusion Coordinator, it is my job to work with the autistic support teachers to come up with fun activities for the kids in the autistic support classes. Every Friday, 2 friends and I go to the cafeteria and have a morning meeting with one of the autistic support classes. This is a picture of us during our morning meeting playing Wonder Ball, which is a game we enjoy playing.
Hi, my name is Beckett Sue. I'm the Athletic and Recess Director here at Coopertown. One of my goals is to make sure that different grades have the equipment they want at recess. Also, I'll be organizing a teachers versus 5th graders sports game.
Hi, I'm Addie DiMartino. I'm Coopertown's treasurer. This year I counted the money collected for Pennies for Puppies. I also helped make decisions on spending money for school events. Miss Master Coyle asked if she can spend money on different student activity events, like assemblies and STEAM Day. We all vote on spending money or not. I do the final signing paper and send the request to the business office. Pennies for Puppies. Our biggest fundraiser so far was Pennies for Puppies. We collected close to $700, which we sent to the Seeing Eye Dog School in New Jersey. We were also able to have a Seeing Eye Dog come meet Coopertown. This is a picture of the dog we helped train.
Hi, I'm Lynnewood, and as the student activities chairperson, I come up with fun ideas for our school. One of the activities that I came up with was to have a canned vegetable collection for a local food pantry. When students place canned goods on the table by the office, they feed the bunny. I also have suggested Fun Spirit Day themes. That's our bunny.
Hello, my name is Roy McFadden. I'm the student council historian. As the historian, I take pictures during events around the school. At the end of the year, I will make a slideshow with images of all the events to share with the Coopertown families. This is an image of a Super Bowl pep rally, a 2nd grade celebration, the 5th grade science fair winners, and the Martin Luther King Day of Service.
This is Quincy Shaquan, our publicity chairperson. He's not able to be here tonight, but he is responsible for creating posters for Coopertown Spirit Days, fundraisers, and special events. Now I'm going to tell you about our recent community service projects. During January, we collected 7 large boxes of socks for a homeless shelter. And throughout March, we are collecting canned vegetables for a local food pantry. Thank you for letting us present this evening. Do you have any questions?
I have a question. These are really great positions, and I really applaud all of you for running for them, for doing all of this work. But does anyone want to share what made them pick their specific role, and why they felt drawn to that one? Sure.
I chose to be the inclusion coordinator because I really like fairness and including people, even no matter who they are.
Thank you, Josh. I have a comment. So first of all, amazing job to each and every one of you. I'm not sure if you have a resume yet, but if you do, please make sure you're making a list of all these amazing skills that I see up here. These are things that will take you very, very far in life, so keep up the great work.
I think everyone at this table understands what it's like to volunteer a lot of our time to help our schools. And so I just want to say thank you for volunteering your time to make Coopertown better, as well as our community, all the service projects that you're doing.
We're lucky to have such leadership skills being developed at our elementary schools, and I'm sure Erin can share some of the ways in which you'll be able to continue to grow and support our schools and community when you go through the middle school and then the high school. Were you on student council?
No, Lynnewood didn't have a student council when I was on it, or they had 2 kids. It wasn't this elaborate, and I really wish they did. But we had safety programs. So I was called a safety guard, so I would sit on the bus and make sure kids were all in order. And then throughout middle school, they offer more opportunities, and even in high school, they definitely expand more. And you can create your own opportunities too to make a difference, which is really nice.
That's great. You've gotten off to such a great start. Really impressive.
I think you guys did it.
Well done.
So awesome. I'm going to start you off.
Dr. Rushi's superintendent's report will continue, but if the Coopertown students want to take the opportunity to exit the meeting, you may.
We want you to perform for us.
I totally will.
Good night.
Good luck.
Good night. The next item within the superintendent's report is a preview of the Haverford High School play. And unfortunately, those who were expected to join us this evening are not able to do so. We hope everyone is able to be back on that stage, and the production goes off quite well next week. Their production is Into the Woods. There's information on the high school website to get tickets for that, and it begins next weekend. Moving along, our next item is recognition of teachers who have been identified as recipients of the Excellence in Teaching Award. That is through the Franklin Mint Credit Union. We have a number of teachers who were nominated, and 3 of our teachers have been selected. The recipients are here this evening, in addition to those who submitted the nomination for them. So I will ask Ms. Saxa if you want to get started. And we will be sharing a little of the nomination, the contents of that nomination that was submitted for each one of those individuals.
Great. Well, Mr. Fulton, you're on. Mrs. McGilvery is the principal of Lynnewood Elementary School, and she is the person who formally nominated John, although I'm sure that his name came to a lot of minds when we saw the nomination form come to us. She is unable to be here this evening, but she did ask specifically that we express her enthusiasm for this award for you, as well as her gratitude for all that you bring to Lynnewood. I'm going to share a little bit about John now. John Fulton has worked as the health and physical education teacher for the past 22 years. He holds a bachelor's degree from Westchester, a master's degree from Gratz College, and has earned his principal's certificate through Holy Family University. John began his teaching career in Upper Darby School District, where he taught health and PE at Drexel Hill Middle School. And I believe that's where John and I first met. I was on the hiring committee, so good job for that one. We picked a strong teacher there. And then John joined us after also serving as a lead teacher and athletic director there. He joined us here in Haverford several years ago. Mr. Fulton is an incredible and inspiring educator. He teaches 600 students per week. He gets to know every student on a personal level. John is a passionate teacher. He creates an environment in his gym where students love to learn and where they also have a lot of fun. He's a master teacher. He facilitates learning through student leadership in particular. Students are engaged in leadership at high levels as they collaborate together, and he explicitly teaches them how to support and cheer for one another. The students are always working towards self-improvement, and Mr. Fulton really empowers them to do their best each time they're in that gymnasium. Each year, Mr. Fulton hosts the Fulton Family Fitness Fun, which I've heard is quite rigorous. These evenings are when the families come to the gym and they have a fun night of fitness and learning, and some of the parents may be sore the next day, right? But all the smiling and having fun as they get fit and play with their children is well worth their time. Mr. Fulton runs district-level events, such as helps to run those events like the 5th grade Unity Day, where all the 5th graders from across the district come together, as well as preparing them for the middle school as they enter that together. Mr. Fulton truly sees the good in everyone. He has been a champion of being reflective and being thoughtful and being inclusive in his practices. He shows leadership, has through his whole career shown leadership as a teacher leader, as someone who inspires us all. And we are so happy that you are being recognized in this way, Mr. Fulton. Congratulations. Guess what? There's a certificate. Take a picture now, or you want to wait? Yep, when everybody's great. All right.
Dr. Mosser. Coming to the podium now is Dr. Renee Mosser, principal of Manoa Elementary.
Good evening, and it is quite a pleasure to be here. Love seeing Coopertown's children and what they're doing to serve our school and our community, and it's a great pleasure to celebrate our teachers this evening. I'm here to talk about our first grade teacher, Miss Henry. Miss Henry has been a Manoa teacher for the past 7 years, and I just want to tell you a little bit about what I see when I'm in her classroom. She's a teacher who's not afraid to handle challenges. And one challenge that she has is a very unique classroom makeup with students who have high needs. But yet that challenging makeup can be hard for some, but not for Miss Henry, because she sets such high classroom expectations that she wants all of her students to achieve. If you walk into her room, all the students are participating in the lesson, sitting and focusing on her instruction, turning and talking to each other with high levels of engagement. And when they're working on work that is catered to them and their needs. So she will scaffold to each of their learning styles. This kind of instruction does not come easy. Her classroom operates flawlessly. However, it doesn't happen without thorough planning and preparation. So oftentimes you will see Miss Henry's car in our parking lot at 6:30 a.m. She is in her room preparing her lessons, organizing materials, calling parents. So when her students arrive, there's not a moment wasted. Her time is 100% dedicated to them. She is empowering her instructional assistants so they are equipped to support students. So when you walk into her room, you don't know who's really the teacher because they're all really engaged in that instruction and actively working when students get stuck to help them. Miss Henry is a researcher. She's oftentimes found seeking advice from our district office staff or coaches. She wants to learn how to dig deeper into data so that she can guide her students and also teach that and engage her team. Miss Henry will research behavior strategies to educate herself so she can better support her students in the classroom. I can go on and on about Miss Henry, but most importantly, as a principal, when I walk into a room, I sit in the chair and I think, would I want my child being taught by this educator? And without a doubt, 100%, I say yes. I am so proud of Miss Henry and her work that she has given to our district and especially to Manoa. So congratulations. Okay.
And our third recipient is from Haverford Middle School, and Assistant Principal Mr. Matthew Crater will be here to introduce that recipient to us.
All right. Good evening, Haverford community, members of the board. My name is Matt Crater. I'm an assistant principal at Haverford Middle School. I work directly with sixth grade students and amazing teachers in sixth grade on a daily basis. I am super excited to be up here presenting this award to Mrs. Scott. Mrs. Scott is a sixth grade teacher. She has been there since I've been there. It's going on 5, 6-ish years. And then she was at Manoa for several years before that. So we are lucky to grab her, and she's a huge asset to our middle school. Mrs. Scott has shown herself to be an outstanding educator in every way. She is aware of the value of taking charge of one's own learning, practice, and teaching practices, and is eager to get feedback and suggestions from her supervisors, from her peers, and to help her improve upon her own teaching. Mrs. Scott's dedication to her students and her enthusiasm for teaching are just two of the many reasons why all students look up to her and treat her as a role model. It's obvious that she created an environment where students feel safe, contributing their own ideas, working together, and taking charge of their own learning in her classroom. Because of this, her students and her classroom is always packed with high-energy students who are eager to learn. Her students and the people closest to her at work benefit from her positivity and her hard work ethic. Mrs. Scott is highly regarded by her students, and not just for her teaching abilities. Mrs. Scott's willingness to meet with her students during lunch or after school to discuss how she can be of a greater assistance to them has been praised and commented on by many parents. She also spends a lot of time outside of school working. My most recent memory was about 8:30 p.m., 9 o'clock p.m. Her and I were engaging in a lovely conversation about learning objectives. She is constantly thinking about ways that she can make her classroom environment a really exciting one for the kids. Haverford community is super fortunate to have Mrs. Scott working in our buildings to shape the minds of our youth. And Mrs. Scott, I wanted to congratulate you. You earned it. High five.
Are you coming too?
Open it.
I'd like to provide an introduction for our next agenda item, which is tied to agenda action item 6F, the acquisition of 201 Highland Lane. This is property that is located in very close proximity to Coopertown Elementary. A district may purchase land located near property that the district already owns for various reasons. But I think the most important one is it's an opportunity. An opportunity to address the needs for additional space, an opportunity to address programmatic needs, and an opportunity to secure the future of the district's educational offerings that may include new programmatic needs. Our district enrollment continues to grow. We are currently at 6,625 students, which is up over a 200 student increase in just the last 4 years, 2 of which were during the pandemic, when many schools experienced fewer increase in students. Presently, our board has been examining a facilities feasibility study, which has already identified space needs at 3 of our elementary buildings. 2 of our elementary schools still house students in modular classrooms. We know we need to engage in some level of construction to address those needs at each one of the schools. Looking to the future, we are at times asked about the possibility and the feasibility of a variety of new programs. And while any programmatic change has cost drivers that have to be considered, the primary barrier which currently exists to many program expansions is a lack of space. The acquisition of 9 acres near district property will open up opportunities for our district and community now and in the future. This evening, Attorney Jason Herron of Whistler Pearlstein will present what we've learned about the property. We'll take some questions from the board, and I'll close out the remarks with a little bit of a timeline of what the process would look like. Jason?
Good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Jason Heron. I'm a real estate attorney at Whistler Pearlstein, the district solicitor. When this opportunity arose, I was brought in to help investigate the property and engage with the owner's representatives to discuss potential acquisition by the district. There's it's called tax, it's on here? Clicker? Ah, there it is, okay. Okay, as Dr. Rushi said, the property that we're discussing is 201 Highland Lane. You can see it is outlined in black there. I apologize for my very, very limited skills in creating these types of exhibits, but it was the best I could do. You can see it's on the corner there. Right next to it is the Township Park. I believe it's called Highland Farm Park. And in red, right next to that is the Coopertown Elementary building. You can see the property has quite a bit of frontage on Highland Lane. That's Highland Lane that covers both sides there. It's a 9-acre parcel. It's improved with a residence as well as a guest house, a pool, and some other related improvements. One of the guest house that's on the property is listed on the county's historic register. And as mentioned, obviously very close proximity to the Coopertown Elementary School. There's also another exhibit, it's the aerial, it's called. This just shows on Google Maps, so everyone can see what it looks like from overhead. The baseball fields at the Township Park and the school right next door. We've done some preliminary investigation of the property, done title search. Some of the district's consultants have visited the property. We've done some checking in township records and things of that nature, what we consider preliminary investigation. And as we were doing that, we also engaged with the owner's representatives who had the property listed for sale to start to discuss what parameters of a potential purchase might be. The property initially went onto the market at an asking price of $5 million in June of 2022. It's been on and off the market a few times since, currently listed at $4.75 million. At the direction of the administration, we discussed what parameters might be. Of course, any parameters that we talk about are subject to approval of the board, and that's why we're here tonight. But we believe we have agreement on basic business terms, which would be a purchase price of $4.3 million. With that, there would be a 5% good faith deposit that would be put into escrow and held there until the closing occurs. There would be a 90-day due diligence period in which the district could do whatever types of tests and investigation and studies it deemed necessary to determine whether the property is suitable for whatever the need might be. And closing would be 30 days after that due diligence period expires. The board's probably seen in the package that was distributed tonight, there's a proposed resolution that contains those terms and contemplates that there would be an agreement of sale that would be signed between the district and the property owner if the board approved. A draft of that agreement has been prepared based upon what I've used for other school district acquisitions in the past and has been shared with the seller's representatives. We've received some comments from them talking back and forth on some legal issues, but at this point, I think the business terms that I outlined a minute ago are what the parties have in mind as at this moment. So that's the basics of it. Is there any questions I can answer?
Can you just describe a little bit more the 90-day due diligence period? And for example, if we find something that we find unsuitable for something that we would want to use it for, what happens next during that due diligence period?
During that due diligence period, the school district has the right to walk away from the deal if the district were to find anything that it would determine to be unacceptable or something that would just make us think that this wasn't a good acquisition for the district, and all the deposit money that's placed in escrow would come back to the district during that period.
And that starts, the 90 days starts when we sign or when the board signs the agreement of sale?
Correct. Yeah, and the expectation would be that once it's signed, engineers, architects would begin really the more in-depth investigation. As I mentioned, we've done some limited investigation that we could at this point, but once the agreement's signed, that's when the district's consultants could get onto the property and really start to do the important testing.
Thank you.
Just for the public's, I guess, reference point, could you talk about 9 acres compared to some of the other properties that we currently hold? Like how big is that? Just so people can kind of get a visual in their mind of it relative to some of our other properties.
The property at Coopertown, where Coopertown Elementary is located, is a 15-acre property. Lynnewood is approximately 12. Okay. Larry, you may remember more, Chatham, off the top of my head.
The existing properties, Manoa is 2.58 and was built in 2010. Chestnut Wald is 5 acres and it reopened as a district school in 2006. Lynnewood, 11.8, and that was built in 2020. Coopertown, 15 acres, built in 1958 with additions in 91 and 2006. And Chatham Park, 9.53 acres, built in 1955 with an addition in 1990. As long as I have the mic, I'd just like to provide a little more context. As you may know, I'm in my 24th year on this board, started in 1999. This is a once-in-a-generation opportunity. The school district purchased the All Gates tract behind the federal school in 1967, 26 acres, with the intent of building a middle school there. Obviously, that did not occur. I'm not aware of any property of this size being available in the time that I've been on the board. Since 2007, our enrollment is up 1,100 students, over 20%, and it's growing. I feel pretty strongly that this is an opportunity that we need to seize while it's here, and hope the rest of the board agrees.
I think it goes without saying that a 9-acre plot anywhere in the township is rare by itself. So the fact that it's there, that's near an existing school and a park. Yeah, no, I tend to agree. And Larry, as you said, I mean, I think this is the last real estate transaction the school district did. I think 8 of us weren't here. I think it was back with Brookline. But the last one that was purchased by the district was even longer than that. So it's, yeah, once in maybe a few, it's probably once in a few generations. So awesome opportunity.
I know Dr. Rushi is going to talk about next steps if the board does approve this tonight. One thing that's on my mind is, anything that is once we decide what to do with the property, that's going to take some time. It's going to take a whole process. There's community input. Dr. Rushi will lay that out. My concern is, what is our responsibility to maintain, have oversight over that property once it's in our hands? I would just hate for us to purchase this 9 acres and then it becomes a public nuisance. What is our plan? Do we have something in place? What are our requirements?
We will, well, I guess you could use the word required. We will maintain it. I mean, that's what we do with all of the properties that we own, each of the facilities. So that would now come onto the list in terms of maintaining the grounds that are there, any of the structures that are on the property to maintain them as well, so that things remain in good condition, but that we also remain good neighbors to the people in the community.
Thank you.
Could I ask our council to speak to the timeline in which this is coming on our agenda as a real estate matter that we are presenting tonight and voting on tonight? People may wonder just what the timeframe was and kind of how we're acting in this manner this quickly. Wanted to just have that be addressed, and then also to point to a 90-day due diligence period is also an opportunity, not just for the district to pursue geotechnical and zoning issues and things like that, but for public input during that time. So as Dr. Larson said, this is potentially the beginning of a longer process in which the district and our school community will be making strategic decisions and thinking about the opportunity this presents and what we could do once we have control of the land, but that it's on the agenda tonight for a vote. I'm just asking for some perspective on the order in which that's happening.
Sure, I'll address the first part of your question, and then I'll turn it over to Jason to address the second part. The board, under the school code, a district can consider and discuss the acquisition of real property in an executive session up until the point in time that there is an option to purchase the land or a written agreement of sale. So as you've announced at prior meetings over the past 2 to 3 months, there have been occasional executive sessions in which we've shared some of the information that Jason shared for your consideration. Tonight, it comes before you for this resolution, even though the agreement of sale is not finalized, because the financial terms, as Jason said, we believe are solid. The board's resolution tonight would do 2 things. It would, and Jason can speak to this, it would authorize, if needed, eminent domain for the property, since you have that ability, but it is also authorizing the officers of the board to execute that agreement of sale when it becomes final under the terms within the resolution. And the financial terms in the resolution match what Jason has stated. The reason it's on tonight's agenda is that this is March 16th. The way your calendar falls, you do not meet again until the middle of April. It's actually a 4-week break. This is the spring real estate market. And we're close. So it was our recommendation that it come before you for action today, so that if this is what the board wants to do, you're authorized to do it quickly without having to come back for an emergency meeting or special meeting, without the risk of somebody else coming in with an offer and then we have to take other action or continue to negotiate. That's why it is happening with this information presentation and then the action item later on the agenda.
Thank you.
And just to echo what Larry said, anytime you're dealing with a purchase of real estate, obviously, there's always the potential that something changes in between the meetings of a public body like this. So when we have an opportunity, we always like to make sure that we have board authority to seize that opportunity when it comes about. As far as timeline from here, once the agreement is finalized, according to the terms, if the board approves the terms, it would be signed, and again, we would immediately begin the due diligence process. I would envision we'd have a team of our architects and engineers and other consultants who would develop an action plan for whatever investigations we need to do. That would occur during that 90-day period, and I think that should be sufficient time to do most of the investigation that a buyer would typically want to do for a property like this. And the closing would happen 30 days after due diligence expired.
Could you also just expand briefly on, I believe Mr. Dodds mentioned eminent domain resolution. We are not exercising eminent domain. We are not taking the property. It's been a very good conversation with the owner. Mm-hmm. It's merely a protective action for the district.
Correct. Yeah, that's something that we recommend as a protective measure. All expectations are that this is going to be a completely friendly process. It has been throughout the entire process. Our our relationship with their representatives has been very productive. So there's no expectation that that would be necessary, but because there is a long lag between board meetings, and again, things can change very quickly, we just like for the district to have all of its options available to it.
This is a significant investment for the district and for the community. Can we just get confirmation that this is something that the school district can handle financially at this point?
This would add to the borrowing, so that would be, where it will come from. And we'll take a look at the feasibility study that was already prepared and presented to us, and now there's a new aspect to it, new opportunity in there. So we will revisit that and look at how this can potentially support the work that needs to be done across the district. So then when you have an idea of what the big picture is, similar to the way that we looked at Lynnewood, Chatham Park, Coopertown, the additions onto the high school, it'll be a long-term process. Then the borrowing that's associated with it, will go along. But our financial advisor has already indicated that the initial borrowing for this, they're already ready to go with it.
Thank you.
Are we aware of any environmental restrictions on the property? I'm just looking at the aerial image. It's very wooded, lots of nice trees there. Was that something that would come to light during due diligence, or is that something that we're aware of now?
That's really what we're going to be studying during due diligence. There will, of course, be an environmental study that will be done, as well as title review, survey, wetland study, geotechnical study. That's all to come, assuming the board approves, of course.
Thank you.
Any other questions? So to wrap that up, then I would just like the board to be mindful if the decision is made to move forward this evening, the 90-day due diligence, the 30 days for settlement after that, it would potentially be July when we could become owners of that property. That's July of 2023. So although we've talked about looking at how this property can be an opportunity for our feasibility and facility needs across the district, there's nothing that's going to be built there within the next year or two. The time frame for that in terms of the planning and the work that would need to be done. As I mentioned, what I envision will be happening, we will come back to you as you have asked us to come back with the recommendations in the feasibility study and to prioritize them. Now we will look at those recommendations in light of this and still bring to you a prioritization. There may be some options in there in terms of here are the priorities that would be option A. Here are priorities that would be option 2. Then we would look at a period of time where you would have opportunity to discuss that, to ask questions about it. At those meetings, there's always opportunity for the public to provide feedback to you about those different options, about what's being done. But I just want to stress, I don't want everyone to get too excited, like, oh, we're going to be able to, really go to town and start building things. There's a long wait time before anything like that would be able to, to come to fruition. But I'll close it up by saying, as I open it, it's an opportunity for us to be fortunate enough to have options in looking at addressing our needs.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, we will see this item on the agenda in a little bit.
Thanks very much.
Thanks. The next portion of our agenda is for public comment for items on tonight's agenda. The board values public comment as an essential component of school governance that adds information for the board's deliberation of the important and complex matter under its purview. Public comment is an opportunity for members of the community to address the board. Our meetings provide an opportunity for us to model good government and civic engagement for our students. Public comment is divided into 2 sections. This first section is for comments on tonight's agenda. The agenda is published under the school district website in the school board section under board docs. Residents of the township may, in advance of the meeting, sign up to make public comment by emailing publiccomment@haverfordsd.net. In order to give everyone an equal opportunity to speak, and per our board policy, you will have 3 minutes to address the board. At the 3-minute point, a timer will sound and you will be asked to conclude your remarks. Please begin your comments by stating your name and confirming your residency in Haverford Township. If you have materials to distribute, please leave them at the end of the board table. Your name and the topic of your comments will be recorded in the meeting minutes, and your presentation is being broadcast and recorded as part of the meeting. If appropriate, an administrator or I will follow up with speakers to discuss or respond to issues raised. We had one person sign up for this portion of public comment, and that's Elena Wisely.
She had her daughter up, but she's coming back.
Okay, we will invite her to speak at this portion. Which is not on tonight's agenda. We don't have policy on tonight's agenda.
But we do have you on.
We do have you on our list.
I apologize.
That's okay. No, thanks. Okay, then we will move on. The next portion of our agenda is our board committee reports, and we had a policy committee meeting, and Antoinette Snodgrass will give us that update.
Thank you. We, as a policy committee, met on March 6th, and our first part of the presentation was about the human resources goals update from Dr. Raimundos. It was a really great update, and I encourage everyone to go back and watch the video for that, but I'll just give a brief synopsis. The goals for HR are to incorporate best practices for human resource management and oversight, coordinating staffing, recruitment, and other human resources function within the district. That includes the Grow Your Own program and including workshops with students at the DCIU, and a creation of a new program called Fords, Forging Outstanding Relationships with Diverse Staff, which will be a career networking event, and more information about that event is coming soon. The next goal is to align processes and meet recommendations from the Chester County Intermediate Unit Human Resources Audit, and in the areas of screening, interviewing, and reference checking. Along with that will be HR committee of school principals and assistant principals, and developing points of discussion around the hiring process. The third goal will be to examine functions and protocols of the Human Resources Department to increase efficiency and build in redundancies where necessary. And this will include a new online onboarding process for employees. So like I said, that was a really great update from Dr. Raimundos, and I encourage everyone to go back and view that. Next, we started our policy discussions, and you will notice that there are no policies on tonight's agenda, but there was a robust, almost 2-hour discussion on lots of policies. I think this is actually a great thing, because it shows that the policy committee is being very deliberative about the policies that it's reviewing, about the choices that it's making for the policies for the board and its recommendations to the board. And it started with a policy update on policies 627, which would be a new policy about how the board would assess real estate appeals. That one is coming to the April meeting for a discussion. And then there was also an update on 912, which was just that it was going to be kicked to the April meeting for more discussion by the, or review by the administration before we went and discussed it at policy. So then we got to the meat of the meeting, which was policy discussions, first on policy 203 for communicable disease, and then the administrative regulations that went along with that. There was a pretty robust discussion on these, even though a lot of it really is coming from the school code. Next, we discussed policy 209, which I don't have the name of here. But this was about we talked about things like the school definition of physician and district dentist. This was again about health services, and we decided to change that policy name to student health services. Policy 210 and its administrative regulation were also discussed. And again, these were on health, policy 211, and 212 were also discussed, but will not be coming forward to the board yet and will be discussed at the next April meeting, which will be April 17th. So that discussion is available for viewing on YouTube, and we encourage the public to come and view the April 17th meeting for the next policy discussion as well, where these policies will come back around and potentially more.
Thank you. The next section of our agenda is for finance and facilities, and item A is the bill list. I will accept a motion to approve disbursements for payment totaling $2,323 or $2,323,483.43.
Barnberg move.
Vitale second. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Bill list is approved. Item B is a meal program donation. I will welcome a motion to accept a donation from the Giant Company in the amount of $17,051.29 through the Feeding Schools Kids Initiative.
King moved.
Schwartz second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
I'd like to just hear a little bit more about this, because it is very generous, and my understanding is that it's coming from Giant, but it's actually also coming from our community.
Yes,
Right.
yes. When you were asked if you wish to round up, you know, as you were checking out, that is the total of roundup from our, from our community. And then Giant very generously presented that check to us, $17,051.29, which can be used to feed students in the district.
I do just want to express my gratitude towards Giant for this program, and also to the community for rounding up. It has real impact, so thank you.
Yeah, those pennies and cents
Yeah.
add up.
That's great.
Any other comments or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is approved. Item C is the Delaware County Intermediate Unit 2023-2024 Operating Budget and Resolution. I will accept a motion to approve the DCIU General Operating Budget and adopt the resolution for the fiscal year 2023-2024 in the amount of $10,320,579, of which Haverford's share is $109,935.46.
Crispin moved. Crispin second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
President Wiedemann, if I could, I would just share some key updates from the operating budget. So the district contributions to the DCIU budget remain unchanged and have for the last 25 years. There were two exceptions, and that was when DCIU provided a 20% rebate to its districts for 3 years, and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, through their annual budget process, increased district contributions 2 times. The 2023-24 budget is $10,320,579. This is an increase of $271,479, or 2.7% from the 22-23 school year. Total school district contributions, again, these come from districts in the county. Total contributions to the IU budget is 8.58%, or $885,694. Individual school districts' net contributions for this budget range from 0.26% to 1.06%. This represents the total 0.66% of DCIU's 60 composite budgets, which is approximately $135 million. Contributions coming from sources other than districts are approximately 92%. The DCIU general operating budget provides the administrative services required for the operation of the DCIU joint purchasing and provides financial management services for the Delaware County Public School Trust. And the projected savings to DCIU and its member school districts for the 22-23 school year is a combined $13 million from these 2 programs alone. The Public School Employees Retirement System, or PSERS, 2023-24 rate as a percentage of salary decreased from 35.26% to 30% to 34%. And just in terms of the budget increase for this year, salary and benefits account for most of that increase, for a total of 70% of the budget. And there was a very comprehensive presentation that I hope you all had a chance to look at with more information on expenditures and the work of DCIU.
Thank you. Yeah.
If I could just follow up, that's the first decrease in the PSERS rate in recorded history. But don't get comfortable because it's expected to start ticking up again.
Larry, there was a time when it was 0%, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Which got us into this mess.
I'd just like to say, being on the board for the last few years and hearing all the different presentations about what the district is doing, we really seem to get a lot from our relationship with the DCIU. Like I said, during the last policy committee meeting, we had an HR update, and they had students go to the DCIU as part of this Grow Your Own program and teaching the students how to be involved in education. It was more than just how to be a teacher, but showing them all of the different other aspects of what it takes to run a district and the different roles for them there. And so that's just one example of many, many that I don't think that we could name at this meeting of our relationship with the DCIU and what Haverford specifically gets out of it. So I'm happy to see that we are part of this program.
Thank you. Yeah, and I thought it was an interesting way to present some of the value added of DCIU is to talk about this budget and as a lesser number than the savings that it generates through the shared purchasing power of their representation of the district's interests. So interesting perspective on the contributions that we make and some of the benefits that we get out of it. Any other comments or discussion on the DCIU operating budget and resolution? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Is this a roll call one? Okay, then Ms. Q, the roll.
Dr. Crispin?
Yes.
Mr. Feinberg?
Yes.
Dr. King?
Yes.
Dr. Larson?
Yes.
Dr. McKay?
Yes.
Mr. Schwartz?
Yes.
Ms. Vitale?
Yes.
Ms. Snodgrass?
Yes.
Ms. Wiedemann?
Yes.
The vote is 9-0.
Thank you. And just because we have a couple of these, are all of the upcoming ones roll calls as well? Or just
6E and 11A. 6E and 11A.
6E. Okay, well, all right, so D will not be. D is the next item on the agenda. It's the Special Education Intergovernmental Funding and Service Agreement. I will accept a motion to approve the 2023-2024 Special Education Intergovernmental Funding and Service Agreement with Delaware County Intermediate Unit in the amount of $689,061.
McKay moved.
Crispin second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? I'm looking down to Dr. Larson to see if you have anything to add on this one.
I mean, I can just add that the DCIU Special Education Services really supplement and pool the needs of the districts in the county to ensure that students with special needs are being appropriately serviced. The expenditures include life skills support, deaf and hard of hearing and language support, visually impaired support, speech and language, emotional, autistic support, learning support, multi-handicap support, employability skills training to develop work experience. There's a variety of support costs and occupational and physical therapy. So the cost of providing these services for each district alone could be very cumbersome and overwhelming. But by having DCU provide these services, it just really ensures that our students are getting what they need.
Thank you. Yeah, I noted in the report that they have a $23 million total budget for the special education services, and our share is the $689,000 that we are being asked to approve tonight, and that's based on our participation and the students' needs that we get service that way. But it was kind of startling to see within the DCIU range of services the significant increases in emotional support and autistic support that they've had just in the last several years. And going to Larry Feinberg's point about state funding, that is an area where the cost and the services keep increasing, but the funding that districts get from the state are not keeping a pace. And more and more of that responsibility is borne locally to fund these programs. I think our relatively small portion of the DCIU's budget is indicative of a lot of programs and services that we have in-house, but you can see this is a considerable area of student support that the DCIU provides across the county. Any other comments or discussion on this resolution for the Special Education Intergovernmental Funding and Service Agreement? Hearing none, I will call for just a general vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is approved. Item E, which will be a roll call vote, is the Delaware County Vocational Technical Schools 2023-24 budget. I will accept a motion to approve the budget and adopt resolution number 56 for the Delaware County Vocational Technical Schools for the 2023-2024 fiscal year in the amount of $15,984,699, of which Haverford's share is $885,132.
Feinberg moved.
Vitale, second. Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Unless Dr. Larson wants to jump in, I was going to say, in the February 6th curriculum committee meeting, we had a really great presentation from the technical school, and about 90 of our high school students are there, and they've won a number of awards through those programs. So that was really impressive. And a lot, that was the new Teacher Preparation Academy is part of that as well. And the practical nursing program for adult students. And it sounds like they have a number of other secondary programs across their 2 campuses. So a pretty robust curriculum for students interested in career and technical education, which is very exciting.
Okay, so I can give kind of the key highlights from this budget. So the 2023-24 Delaware County Technical Schools program budget is $15,984,699. District funding for 23-24 increased $231,593 or 2%, which is below the Act 1 index for 2023-24. The Delaware County School District's composite Act 1 index is 5.09%. The range for the district's index is 5.1% to 6.5%. The budget-to-budget increase is 3.18%, $492,501 or 3.13% net of the PA state share of retirement revenue. The 2023-24 budget allows for the expansion of the medical careers program at the Aston campus by 1 position. Added to the 23-24 budget is a position to establish a teacher academy program at the Aston campus, and each position will only be funded in the subsequent year if enrollment justifies opening the additional classroom. Districts are being asked to contribute $10,768,024 toward the halftime career and technical program based on the percentage of district participation determined by the 3-year averaging method. The Special Education Skill Start and TCA programs require district contributions of $1,043,175 based on student enrollment. Individual district costs are outlined in the material packet that you all received regarding this budget. The 3-year averaging method will be used for budgeting and year-end reconciliation for the halftime technical program. And budgeting and year-end reconciliation for Skill Start and TCA programs is based on per student tuition. So again, and just to add a little bit more about the work of the technical school, they're in constant communication with industry partners and determining, what are the programs that we need to prepare students for jobs that we don't even know quite exist yet as those needs arise. So it's just pretty amazing to see what students are doing. And I encourage you all to go on their website if you haven't done so already and just check out some of these workforce skills that students are developing. They're job shadowing, engaging in cooperative education, career and post-secondary preparation opportunities. It involves character building, community service, and obviously technical skill training. So again, some really important work, and students in Haverford are benefiting from this.
Thank you. Any other comments or discussion? Then we will call the roll for the vote, please.
Dr. Crispin?
Yes.
Mr. Feinberg?
Yes.
Dr. King?
Yes.
Dr. Larson?
Yes.
Dr. McKay?
Yes.
Mr. Schwartz?
Yes.
Ms. Vitale?
Yes.
Ms. Snodgrass?
Yes.
Ms. Wiedemann?
Yes.
The vote is 9-0.
Thank you. Item F on our agenda is the acquisition of 201 Highland Lane in Haverford Township. I will accept a motion to approve the attached resolution authorizing district administration, officers of the board, and the district solicitor's office to complete all actions necessary, including the signing and delivery of all instruments and documents necessary or appropriate to acquire the real property at 201 Highland Lane, Haverford Township through eminent domain proceedings or in the alternative through a negotiated purchase with the current owner in lieu of condemnation at a purchase price not to exceed $4,300,000 with a good faith deposit of not more than 5% of the purchase price to be held in escrow until closing and with the due diligence period of 90 days and with closing to occur within 30 days after expiration of the due diligence period and with such other non-financial terms and conditions as are appropriate are approved by the authorized officers after review by the district's solicitor's office.
Feinberg moved.
Schwartz, second.
Moved and erased. Wait for a second. Any comments or discussion?
It's exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Mm-hmm. More opportunities.
This is a great opportunity for the district, for the community. And I thank all the hard work that went in by the administration and our solicitor's office to bring this forward. I look forward to, I think, a lot of discussion, continued discussion on this property during the due diligence period and prior to closing. And I look forward to hearing about what opportunities lie ahead with this 9-acre property in our district. So, thank you.
Yeah, big thanks to our solicitors. The property market, the way that it has been lately, is very hot. So and it takes a while to kind of move the lumbering beast sometimes of the district. So it's good that we jumped on this and got in there, I think, for a very good opportunity to really accommodate our services as our district grows. So first time in over 50 years that we bought anything. So real estate anyway.
I echo the importance of this opportunity to have a large parcel that is available proximate to one of our school campuses. If you think of any of the other school sites around the township, it's just inconceivable that the district would be able to assemble a 9-acre parcel to expand and to come at a time when, as Dr. Rushi outlined, we have been exploring the feasibility of our district buildings as they are to accommodate the growth in enrollment and the programs that we have envisioned to be able to continue to offer high quality education for all of the students and families that are moving into the township to, in large part because of our schools. This potential acquisition of the 9 acres near Coopertown Elementary allows for new kind of strategic thinking about what is possible for our facilities and programs, and just appreciate that this opportunity is ahead of us and look forward to the imagining and the strategic thinking and finding a ways to put it to the best use for our communities, students, and to make that investment in the district's future.
Important to point out too, I think also, I think it was mentioned earlier, but this would not go without input from the community. We are, beholden to the folks around here, so we'll definitely be seeking that as we, move forward with this.
Any other comments or discussion?
Should this be roll call?
You can have it be a roll call.
We will have Ms. Q call a roll call vote.
Dr. Crispin?
Yes.
Mr. Feinberg?
Yes.
Dr. King?
Yes.
Dr. Larson?
Yes.
Dr. McKay?
Yes.
Mr. Schwartz?
Yes.
Ms. Vitale?
Yes.
Ms. Snodgrass?
Yes.
Ms. Wiedemann?
Yes.
Vote is 9-0.
All in favor. Thank you. The next item of the agenda is for Human Resources, and item A is for retirements and resignations. I will accept a motion to accept the following retirements and resignations as listed.
Vitale move. Crispin second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
20 years of service. Thank you. That's great. And 12, a 12-year bus driver.
Ms. McGlone at the middle school.
12-year bus driver, that is also a big commitment.
Yeah.
Thank you.
13 years.
Yeah, almost 13, yeah.
Any other comments or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resignations are approved. Item B is appointments. I will accept a motion to approve the following appointments as listed below, contingent upon receipt of all necessary clearances, including Act 168 of 2014.
Larson moved.
For a second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Fortunately, replacing a couple of bus drivers, hopefully, with the retirement. We lose one, you add two. Also great to see some more food service employees being added. That's been a shortage we've been dealing with for the entire year, so that's good to see.
We have a lot of spring athletic appointments too. How
Mhm.
exciting.
And
Yeah.
board games club, that's so fun. Love that.
Staffing for all the good stuff, yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Appointments are approved. Item C is for leave of absence. I will accept a motion to approve the following leave requests.
Crispin move.
Larson second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is approved. Item D is a memorandum of understanding. I will accept a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding between the School District of Haverford Township and the Haverford Township Education Support Professional Association.
King moved.
Crispin second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion is approved. Under the pupil services portion of our agenda, item A is out-of-district educational services contract. I will welcome a motion to approve the following educational agreement for a student attending out-of-district placement for the 2022-2023 school year.
Feinberg move.
Vitale second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item B is the 2023 to 2026 K-12 school counseling plan. I will welcome a motion to approve the 2023 to 26 K-12 school counseling plan as discussed at the February 23rd, 2023 Curriculum and Pupil Services Committee meeting.
Crispin move.
Larson second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
It's a great presentation at the meeting.
Yeah.
A really thorough.
Very thorough.
Yeah.
Right. But there was an outline from the state, but it seemed like our counseling staff really went above and beyond to consider the implication of the projects and to lay out some goals and services.
Worth a watch.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Section 9 of our agenda is for curriculum and instruction, and item A is student educational excursions. I will accept a motion to approve the following student educational excursions as listed below.
McKay moved.
Larson second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
8th grade class is gonna have some fun.
A fun day
That looks
at
great.
Arnold's Family
Yeah.
Fun
I'm
Center.
jealous. That sounds really fun.
And some
I'm impressed
band-
with the moving of 500 students to one location, so.
We're all looking at Mr. Horan like, are you ready for this? Right. And then the high school band has representatives going to the PMEA Regional Band Festival, and we've got the baseball team heading to a tournament, so all kinds of good stuff. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is approved. Item B is a professional services agreement. I will accept a motion to approve an agreement with the Professional Learning Partnerships for professional learning, coaching, and consultation services during the 2023 to 2024 school year at a cost not to exceed $16,725.
George moved.
Crispin second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Could we get a little bit more information on the nature of this work and, you know, why we're, I don't want to say outsourcing, but going out of house for it, as opposed to, I know it's rooted in brain research, so if we could just hear more about that. I understand why we're going out, but.
Sure. Do you want to say anything, Jen? I could get us started there. As Dr. Larson mentioned, it is rooted in brain science and looking at the brain and leadership and how current research on leadership. So some of the work will be with our administrative team throughout the year. Some of the work that we're also looking at there are the possibility of some family brain night events to give families an opportunity to look at understanding ideas about brain development and learning. And also looking at some of the professional learning sessions that can be planned to look at our goals. But I'll turn it over to you now, Jen.
That was all the good stuff. Essentially that's what it is. We have in the past worked with this facilitator, and the work really continues the brain science of learning that we have been engaged in over the last several years. So we're eager to look and see how it applies to leadership, but also looking at how it applies to curriculum development, how it applies to instruction. There are opportunities for coaches to learn a little bit more about it so that they can then help teachers. So it really is sort of applying this brain science of learning to many areas in the district, including I like to point out the family brain nights, which have been well received in other districts, sort of fun events for families to participate in schools.
Thank you.
Any other comments or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is approved. In section 11 of our agenda for other items, item A is the Delaware County Community College trustee appointment. I will welcome a motion to approve the appointment and corresponding resolution for Katrina Robinson to serve as a trustee to the Delaware County Community College for a term ending June 30th, 2028.
Larson moved.
Crispin second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
In case you didn't see it, there was a memo that was included from Shelley Hunt. She's the chair of the liaison committee to fill this vacancy. I believe there were 8 candidates, and then the liaison committee interviewed 7 of them, and this was the candidate that was chosen. And then there's some application information from Ms. Robinson here that everybody had an opportunity to view.
Thank you. Any other comments or discussion? I will then ask Ms. Q to call the roll call vote.
Dr. Crispin?
Yes.
Mr. Feinberg?
Yes.
Dr. King?
Yes.
Dr. Larson?
Yes.
Dr. McKay?
Yes.
Mr. Schwartz?
Yes.
Ms. Vitale?
Yes.
Ms. Snodgrass?
Yes.
Ms. Wiedemann?
Yes.
Vote is 9-0.
Thank you. The next section of our agenda is for public comment on other items. We had 6 people sign up for this portion, but I will start with Ms. Wisely, who was not, there you are, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Elena Wisely. I live in the district. I wanted to address our counseling program. When a child has anxiety and their day begins with angst, performance for the entire day is interrupted and that child is not able to perform or to reach their academic potential, especially when this occurs on a regular basis. Mental capacities become focused on worrisome and intrusive thoughts, making it extremely difficult to focus. It is an exhausting task and creates an unnecessary burden on students whose complex needs are not met. Today, we see more debilitating mental health disorders in our youth than ever before. We have focused so hard on virtue signaling for progressivism and have lost sight of realism. Our children are not data and statistics, they are people trying to get through their childhood. And focusing on small groups to prop up while allowing others to fall down is shameful. Every single one of our children needs to be supported academically, emotionally, and if some kids do not get help with homework, then we make the decision to not give any. But that is unacceptable. Instead, we should be offering supports for the children who cannot get help at home, rather than dismantling something that worked in the past for everyone. Success leads to confidence. Confidence leads to more success. It builds confidence and character and creates a sense of happiness and purpose. Our children need a sense of happiness and purpose more than ever. Through the school counseling program, we can achieve that and simultaneously achieve the academic excellence that this town was once known for. I am also asking you, once again, I've brought it up a few times, to please begin discussing Narcan in our schools because our children are using drugs in the high school, in the middle school, and it's very worrisome. As a parent, I just really, please vote on having Narcan in the school. If you want to support our children, there are many things that can be implemented to help them each and every day, and I wanted to give you a few examples. Often our bathroom doors are locked. Our children have been told to stop telling the parents this, but I've been sent pictures by multiple students of signs on the doors that they are in fact locked. Not being able to use the bathroom between classes and at allotted times causes anxiety in even children that do not suffer from generalized anxiety disorders. Relieving oneself is number one block on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and self-actualization is last, which is where activism falls, and we seem to have that reversed. I would utilize the speaker system in the building for binaural beats in the morning before first block. Binaural beats create an auditory illusion that can affect brainwaves and bring anxiety down while increasing focus. There are many different types, of course. Some can actually induce sleep pattern waves, so choose your beats carefully. We can engage with the students more. Facial expressions can be cues, and sometimes we can see that children may be having a rough day, and encouraging behavior in the staff to just reach out and ask a student what they can do for them today would be very helpful, and I know many teachers do this. Be mindful of what's going on in our community, specifically with bullying, because a lot of our children are suffering from this, and invest in emotional support animals for the school. Also, more 504 and IEPs. Thank you.
The next speaker is Dr. Carla Rogers.
Good evening. I'm here to thank you as a woman in her mid-70s for the support that this board and this district have given girls' sports, young women's sports. My husband and I are proud supporters of the Haverford girls basketball teams, and I think history is important. I am a would-be high school athlete, but in the 1960s, there was no support for women's athletics. When we played basketball, and I've clarified this with someone who also went to school here, who's my age, there were 3 girls on each side, and you were not allowed to run the full court because naturally you were too weak and too frail, and you undoubtedly would have passed out and fainted. So it's really nice for me to see this. I've been a resident in Haverford Township for 30 years. I have medical practice in Lynnewood. I've gotten to know some of the players on the girls' team, including Caroline Dotsey, who's getting an NCAA Division I basketball scholarship to University of Maine. Those did not even exist in 1962 when I started high school. So once again, I just want to thank you all for supporting our young ladies. Sports builds character and academic excellence. So thank you.
The next speaker is Megan Gould.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Megan Gould, and I am a Havertown homeowner. I've been a resident here for 30 years. I'm here to talk about the process that a group of us have been going through, dealing with ever since the school district targeted our home in 2020 during the county-wide home assessment. As you're aware, the county-wide home assessment was completed in 2020 for all county houses due to a court order. As you're also aware, the school district took issue with a small number of assessments, somewhere in the range of 15 to 25 homes. and loosely based that on unvetted criteria and appealed those to equal the sale price of their homes. Mine was one of those unfortunate homes because we purchased our house in the summer of 2019. Had we only purchased a few months later, I would not be here and we would not be part of this unfortunate situation, which just goes to show you how unfair and inequitable this appeal process has been. Since 2021, we have paid over an additional $20,000 in taxes due to the school district's targeting. Each time I paid, I noted that these payments should be kept in escrow as we are paying under protest. We hired an attorney who tried to work with the school district attorney in terms of negotiation. We've also brought suit, and currently I believe the court has stayed our suit due to a school district request, and apparently a similar suit is being heard in the Supreme Court. To me, this just equals more time and more money spent on something I think we all know is a poorly planned scheme, which was implemented without any thought to the recourse. Should the school district be implementing one-off tax assessment appeals without agreed upon and vetted criteria? Is this the type of policy this board wants to be supporting? The residents of Haverford Township should get to review and comment on what criteria should be used. Will these criteria always be used? Will they be used every other year? What is the process? That is what should be vetted. There are identical homes on my block, including the exact layout. We all know Havertown. We all know there's homes that are exactly the same right next to each other. And 2 of those homes were sold in 2021 outside of the school district targeted window for similar prices as mine. Those houses were assessed just as mine via the county level assessment. However, the only difference is that the school district targeted me, and for the last 3 years, I've been paying double taxes than what my neighbors have been paying. It's absolutely absurd that a court order that required a reassessment to provide equitable assessments across the county could be so twisted by a poorly thought out plan by the school board. I believe that the school board wants to be equitable and fair. I've heard all of the discussion tonight. I know that's what your intent is. And I'll finish in 1 second. I don't believe this was your intent, but this is where we are. And you can be the change to right this wrong. You can drop the appeal and allow our home assessments to go back to the county level assessments, which is all that we're asking for. I thank you for your time.
The next speaker is Sarah McCaffrey. Sarah McCaffrey, not seeing her. I'll go on to Angela Urso. Not seeing Angela Urso. Sarah Johnson.
Hi, Sarah Johnson, Haverford resident. I was going to originally speak on 912, but you're not voting on that tonight. I just wanted to again bring up this issue of the third-party data being sold. Let me start from the beginning. We've seen a big change in who we're using for K-12 education. There's a lot of social emotional learning curriculum coming in, and these are typically much smaller, newer companies that are not necessarily education companies. These aren't Pearsons or Scholastics. And they have nice names, and I don't know a lot about all of these programs, so I'm not necessarily judging them, but, Sage Wellness, Dignity, Equity, they have these names, but what we don't know, and I've really confirmed this with Ms. Carter and Dr. Rushi, we don't know if, for example, with that UPenn survey, the children take the survey, there's long answer questions where they put in a lot of personal information, and we don't know if that data can then be repackaged and resold. I've worked in data analytics, that's where the money is. So you have to remember, these are for-profit companies, they're for-profit companies. And I think we're really exploiting the trust of the students and the parents and guardians because we don't know the answer to this question. And I understand that maybe you weren't aware of this issue, that the data can, but again, we don't know the answer to the question with UPenn. I don't think we know it with any of these kind of smaller publishers, but before you're signing these contracts, I think you need to find out if they can sell their third-party data, because it's a very gray area that we're getting into. And again, we're not using Pearson's and Scholastics and some of these really bigger companies that don't participate in this. And again, the other thing that I have seen is a lot of these smaller education companies are getting bought up by data analytics companies. So why would a data analytics company buy, a small education company? And especially when we're looking at a lot of, these kids are putting a lot of really personal information in here. Again, I think we're exploiting the trust. So again, like Dr. Rushi, is this something that you are going to make a priority? Because I've been asking this question several times, several different ways, and I'm told that you'll get back to me, and you haven't. And it doesn't feel like it's a priority, so it's okay. I'd rather you just tell me if it's not going to be.
With respect to policy 912, at the last meeting, we had indicated that we were not moving that policy forward because we wanted to take another administrative look at it and what we would be recommending.
But specifically, are you going to ask, like when we sign on for these new curriculums, are we going to ask that question before we sign the contract? Can any data be sold to a third party?
Yes.
Going forward, you're going to ask that question. And do you think that you could find out the answer to the question for the curriculum that we are using, like Sage Wellness? Can you find out that information?
For those who have data, but Sage Wellness does not. But we will continue the conversation that we had started before.
Okay, thank you for your time.
And the final speaker we had signed up was Jennifer Brennan.
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Brennan. My husband and I live on Virginia Avenue. We do such a great job as a district recognizing individuals or small groups that are struggling. We have Ford's Fight for Life, Autism Awareness, Black History Month, LGBT awareness. But the one thing we do not focus on is the one thing that every one of these groups has in common, and that is the struggles with mental health. Mental illness does not discriminate. It does not care what race or religion you are, what your age is. It does not care how much money you make or how popular you are. In one of my son's darkest times, when he was feeling alone and that no one would understand, I told him that if we walked into the gym and asked how many students felt the way he did, that probably 90% would stand up. And that was before COVID. But no one talks about it. Our youth feel so alone and they are struggling. We have a mental health crisis right now, especially in our youth. According to the CDC, more than 4 in 10 students struggle with persistent sadness and hopelessness. 1 in 10 students contemplate suicide. 1 in 5 will attempt. What are we doing to help our students? Are we giving our teachers and staff professional development days that are focused on mental health and suicide prevention? One of the most important yet difficult questions that needs to be asked is, do you want to hurt yourself? I've had to ask this question not only as a healthcare professional, but as a mom. Both are scary, but it's even scarier to have to ask it as a parent. Most people are afraid to ask for the fear that the answer will be yes, because what do? Mental illness is a roller coaster ride. I wish on no one. It's a ride that never ends, and you have no idea what twist or turn lies ahead. There are no CAT scans or MRIs to tell you what to expect. In October of 2019, myself and a few other moms who had children struggling started a nonprofit called the Havertown Village Project in hopes to help support other parents and help our youth not feel alone. Last year, we reached out to the school district to share events we had planned. Unfortunately, it wasn't what we had hoped for. This year, Saturday, May 20th, we were having our second event, Mental Hope Day, at Lynnewood. We were hoping to have this event take place on the turf, but we were denied the turf. The Havertown Village Project is asking for support from our school district. We wanted to use the turf because this event's targeted audience is our students, especially our middle school and high school students. We are not asking for money. We are just asking for support in helping promote our events so that parents and students will realize they are not alone. We are all aware of mental health, but people really need to recognize that mental health matters. Please help us help our children. I don't expect our district to handle this alone, but if we can recognize that our children need help, we can work together to show our children that we are not alone. We have lost too many of our children already to mental illness. Thank you.
area of our agenda is for board reports. I'll start with Mr. Schwartz.
Just not to be a dead horse, but as an urban planner and engineer, it's always exciting to talk about property, and looking forward to seeing a lot of maps of this and look at some of the possibilities. But with that, looking forward, I guess, to a bit of a break and come back refreshed. Hopefully, I'm ready to go. So with that, I'll pass.
No report.
No report. Go down to
Yeah,
Dr. McKay.
last week I attended the county legislative meeting, and a couple of information is more just for the board to be aware of events coming up. There are 3 PSBA training workshops that are available, each in the evening from 6 to 7:30. There's one on improving school safety and security on April 4th, the impact of poverty in schools on April 12th, and Hill Talk on April 13th. Additionally, May 19th, please make sure to put that on your calendar because that is the legislative breakfast, an opportunity for board members to meet with legislative representatives from the county. And that is all I have to report.
Okay. So just thinking, I didn't realize we had a big board break coming up. That's exciting. Board meeting break. So I guess may your St. Patrick's Day, if you celebrate, be filled with fun and celebration, and your spring break be restful.
I just want to give a quick plug to our PTOs, and I know we often say it a lot, how much these organizations do for particularly our elementary schools, and how they're really running events that are vital to our children and to our youth that factor into mental health and to our community. And I just wanted to put a plug in for anyone out there with elementary school students. You know, there's usually a nominal fee to join, and that nominal fee supports all of their wonderful activities. And I was just thinking about this last week. I had the opportunity to help set up for the Lynnewood Book Fair. I know a lot of the elementary schools, I know Chatham just had theirs, and I got the opportunity to help out. And this was an event that used to be, back in the day, the school district ran, and it was taken over by the PTOs, and the tremendous amount of time and effort that our PTO volunteers put in to get the books, transporting them, setting them up. And I saw just a small glimpse of it in the couple hours that I volunteered, and just to remind our families to whatever they can to support the PTOs. Thank you.
On the legislative side, we're kind of in a quiet period now where appropriations hearings will be taking place for the next several weeks. It's noteworthy that for the first time, we have women as both Speaker of the House, Senate Majority Leader, and head of the Supreme Court. So things have come a long way. Joanna McClinton, who represents Philadelphia, but also some of Delaware County, is the new Speaker of the House. You mentioned a legislative breakfast. She's confirmed as a speaker, so that should be great. Also, Senator Carney will be speaking, I think primarily about his bill to re-implement PlanCon, which provided state funding for building projects. So we'll look forward to all that.
Thank you. Ms. Snodgrass?
Just briefly, I look forward to seeing Into the Woods next week with my daughter. We really enjoyed the last play that we saw with HHS, so we look forward to that again. And I wish everyone, students, staff, parents, a restful and family-filled spring break coming up.
Thanks. I will note, seems like board members are thinking there's this long break, but we do have our ongoing committee meetings. So next next Thursday is the curriculum meeting, and the following Thursday is a rescheduled finance and facilities on March 30th. So there will be more board activity that everybody's tapped into.
That's a dream.
Just no action meetings.
No action
Don't
meetings,
give
but
board
good
reports at
discussion.
those. We have to get it all out
Right.
now.
All right, just putting that in for the public benefit that there are some upcoming committee meetings. I did thank you, Ms. Vitale, for mentioning the PTOs, because that reminded me I was remiss at the last meeting to thank you for organizing the board's visits to the elementary school PTOs that we got to do, and thank you for the time and organizing of that. one of the activities that I recently got to go to was the AP art show at the high school, and it was like walking into a museum. It was impressive. And it was very celebratory. They had food and music, and there was just a hive of activity. And you had to kind of like fight your way in to like get up to see the art up close, but really impressive. And also to learn that some of those students are still like just in 11th grade. I'm like, what will they do next year? They've already like made these masterpieces. So if there are other opportunities to see our students' artwork, I encourage everyone to go. And it was nice to hear the recognition again of the girls basketball team. And I was thinking then that it was fitting that this is Women's History Month, and then Mr. Feinberg mentioned the leadership roles, and we saw the young student council president there. She has a good future in front of her, but it's great to see the ways in which women and girls in our district are really contributing and hitting the mark. So congratulations on all those fronts. I will next give our executive session report. The board met in executive session this evening to discuss the potential purchase of real property. And with that, the next regular public board meeting, with some intervening committee meetings, the next regular public board meeting is scheduled to be held on April 13th, 2023, after spring break at 7:30 p.m. in the boardroom of the Oakmont Administration Building. And with that, the business of this meeting is concluded, and I welcome a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, everybody.